A team of us went to the conference because we wanted to capture some research and teaching material that would gather something of the range of perspectives and professional capabilities that were being thrown at this massive global problem. We wanted to capture something of whether journalists, academic researchers, policymakers were more optimist or pessimist when they looked at the United Nations' efforts to drive an international agreement on climate change.
There are a lot of reasons for optimism. What makes me pessimistic is the raw science itself, which says unless we do change very soon, probably within the next 15 years, we shall cross thresholds which take us into completely uncharted territory.
I think we have to look realistically with both optimism and pessimism. We're going to have a lot of climate change. It's locked in because of the emissions that we've been producing over the last 50 years, and some of that temperature change is now inevitable. And although we talk about 2 degrees as being the threshold of dangerous climate change, that's what the international community has said, 2 degrees is actually pretty awful. We will get extreme weather events, droughts, floods and so on. A lot of people will be incredibly disrupted in their lives. So that is inevitable, and that will look pretty awful, and you have to be pretty pessimistic about the impact on people. But on the other hand, it does look as if finally we are now doing something about it, and so we can look with much greater optimism to our ability to change things, so that at least the very worst predictions of what might have happened may be able to be averted.
I'd like to think I was going to be able to get out of the line of thinking about climate change all the time, but I have a feeling we're going to be working on this for most of my lifetime.
Even as a small country like the Gambia, we are doing a lot. And we are now working towards integrating climate change in most of our policies. So that is a long-term way of addressing climate change. And I see many countries doing that. You see, so in the future, I think we will be implementing climate change without even knowing that we are implementing, because it is here to stay, and if we don't address it, we are all doomed.
So I'm really optimistic. I think in Birmingham we'll start to realise this nuanced future. It's small enough, young enough, diverse enough to really take this challenge forward.
I wasn't at the climate talks in Copenhagen, but from what I'm told, the difference is like night and day. Here it's not just governments. We're not just talking about a legally binding agreement. We're talking about civil society. We're talking about cities and the mayors. We're talking about businesses. Everybody is on board, and so I think the momentum actually to do something serious about greenhouse gas emissions is unstoppable. I hope so.
The world has dragged its feet for far too long. We haven't got another 15 years. We've got 5 years. The time window is getting tighter and tighter all the time. So I would hope that, in a way, that there's no need for a COP in 15 years' time. I'm sure there will be.
I guess I'm probably going to sit on the fence, to be honest. I think there's some aspects to be very, very optimistic about. I think the fact that a lot of countries have come to the table this time out with proposals in hand is good. It's clear those proposals ultimately aren't good enough on their own. It's clear that more has to be done. We've come a long, long way from, Rio and then Kyoto to here, and who knows what it will hold. Who knows what it will hold in the next day or two. But at the moment, it seems like there's a general feeling in the conference centre that things are a little bit smoother than they have been before, and hopefully that bodes well.
I think whatever the politicians do, the world is changing for the better in terms of technology. If the politicians can catch up, we may still avert this crisis. It'll be a close run thing, but I think we might get there.
I didn't feel that 10 years ago. So you can put me down as an optimist.
I'm hopeful, I remain an optimist, that good sense will prevail, that the leaders will make the correct choice, which is to have a long-term goal of 1.5 degrees temperature rise. If they do that, then delivering on that becomes the next obligation, which is going to be very, very difficult, but not impossible. We have sufficient knowledge, we have sufficient technology, we have sufficient money. What we have insufficient of is political will. And that's where the leaders of the world within the next 24 hours have to exhibit. They gave us good speeches at the beginning of the process, which was good to have. They have to translate those speeches into real commitments in the next 24 hours. And I'm hoping they will do that.
I feel like there's so many people suffering, and there's so many people who are concerned, and they're all here, and that surely something will come out of it, and there will be some sort of decisions that will be. But I had the same feeling at Copenhagen, and right till the last day, I kept thinking, no, I mean, surely they're going to do something. Surely, Obama will come and pull something out of his hat, and so it was kind of crushing. To see the outcome. But again, I'm back in Paris, and again, I'm very, very positive. But I mean, we live on hope, right? And that's what makes us get up, get out of bed every morning. It's hope, right? So.
Given the responses we gathered at the conference, I was forced to reflect on this question myself. Am I more optimist or pessimist? When I first came across the notion of climate change or global warming in actually the late 1980s, I was filled with trepidation. I thought it highly improbable that we would convince a good chunk of 7 billion people that climate change was a serious problem and that we could address it. Now, looking at where we are in the wake of Paris, I am left surprised at how fast we've moved in our learning. This is incredibly difficult new knowledge, and I think if humans show the same kind of ingenuity and determination that they showed when they bumped along through the last ice age, actually I think we've got quite a good chance of making it through with a degree of decency.